From VOA, Learning English, this is the Health Report. In the Saudi city of Jeddah, a group of athletes is urging women and girls to get out of their homes. The basketball players suggest that the women become active in public life. The group's members say they can do this by connecting sports to health issues. All of the players are women. Saudi Arabia is one of the richest countries in the Middle East. In many ways, it is very modern in terms of public health services and transportation. But activists say the country has a long way to go on women's rights. At an event in Jeddah for disabled boys and girls, female basketball players say that women's sports are becoming more popular. Men do not attend the games. The players wear head coverings and white uniforms that extend over their arms and legs. Players say women's rights in Saudi Arabia have come a long way in recent years. But they say many freedoms, like the right to drive a car, still seem far away. Last year, women in Saudi Arabia voted for the first time. 20 women were elected into local offices. Female athletes say they believe Saudi women's sports will be accepted in the same way someday. Deborah Parkwood is head of the Jeddah United basketball team. She says there are great female athletes in Saudi Arabia. She says the girls want to train harder, play harder, and compete for their country internationally. For now, players say local women's sports are having an immediate effect. They say it shows mothers the value of physical exercise for themselves and for their children. For VOA, Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. The pomegranate is one of the oldest known fruits. Pomegranates are found in ancient writings and pictured in the ancient art of many cultures and religions. Experts think the pomegranate is a native to northern India, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan. The pomegranate grows on trees. The skin of the fruit is strong. The inside is filled with beautiful dark red seeds that shine like the red jewels called rubies. It is not easy to get them out. These seeds are loaded with many nutrients and chemicals called antioxidants. These remove poisons from the body. The pomegranate is also a symbol of health, fertility, and long life. Parts of the pomegranate tree and fruit are used to make medicine for many conditions. However, the U.S. National Institutes of Health says there is not enough scientific evidence to rate pomegranate as effective for any of them. Still, in traditional medicine, pomegranate is used for conditions of the heart and blood vessels, including high blood pressure and hardening of the arteries. It is also used to treat high cholesterol and digestive conditions. Some people use pomegranates for weight loss and as a treatment for sore throat. Pomegranate seeds contain substances called unsaturated oils, carbohydrates, and fiber. Pomegranates are also high in vitamin K that helps to support bone health, and vitamin B5 that helps the body process protein, carbohydrates, and fats. The fruit is also high in phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, zinc, and iron. You can use pomegranate seeds in many recipes. They make a delicious and healthful addition to your meals. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. The United Nations Children's Fund is praising Ethiopia for reaching one of the Millennium Development Goals. UNICEF officials say Ethiopia has reduced child deaths by more than 2/3. Between 1990 and 2012, Ethiopia reported a 67% drop in the number of children dying before the age of 5. Ethiopia's Minister of Health, Kesetabiran Admasu, says the country has committed to end all preventable child deaths in a generation by 2035. Diarrhea, pneumonia, and malaria are the leading causes of death among children in Ethiopia. In 1990, the country's death rate for children under 5 was one of the highest in the world. The death rate has dropped from 204 deaths for every 1,000 births to 68 deaths per 1,000 births. Hundreds of thousands of Ethiopian children who might have died in earlier years now reach their 5th birthday. Ethiopia is one of 4 African countries to have reached a Millennium Development Goal. The other 3 are Liberia, Malawi, and Tanzania. One reason for Ethiopia's success is its health extension program. The program employed 38,000 people to bring health care services to a large part of the rural population. Peter Salama is UNICEF's representative for Ethiopia. He says Ethiopia's plan can serve as an example. He says delegations from Togo, Guinea, and Namibia have come to study the health extension program. The United Nations approved the Millennium Development Goals in 2001. The goals were meant to get countries to pay more attention to issues such as fighting extreme poverty. Progress on the goal of reducing child deaths is slow in most countries. Only 13 of 61 countries are in a position to meet it. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Caffeine is the most widely used drug in the world. Many people drink tea and coffee to help them stay awake. However, new research suggests that too much wakefulness might be harmful to human health. Recently, British and American researchers investigated caffeine's effects on human sleep patterns. The study lasted 49 days. Researchers gave the participants 200 milligrams of caffeine a few hours before bed. 200 milligrams of caffeine is about the same amount found in 2 shots of espresso coffee. The researchers noted how long it took the volunteers to fall asleep. The scientists found that caffeinated drinks used up to 3 hours before expected bedtime can delay normal sleep times. Sometimes the delay is as long as 40 minutes. The researchers also exposed the volunteers to light at night. Light at bedtime can affect the production of a sleep hormone. The scientists compared the effects of bright light with the effects of caffeine. They found that the caffeine use interrupted patterns of sleep more than the bright light. A lack of sleep can affect a person's mood. It also disrupts the body's natural sleep-wake cycle called the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is an important part of several processes in the body, including hormone production and cell generation. A disrupted circadian rhythm increases the chance of heart disease, obesity, and mental illnesses, such as depression and bipolar disorder. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. For much of 2014, health officials around the world have been guarding against the Ebola virus. But there is another disease that can cause as much attention and fear: plague. Plague is caused by bacteria found on small animals and the flea insects that bite them. People infected with plague usually develop flu-like sickness 3 to 7 days after infection. Recently, the World Health Organization reported on cases of plague, some of them deadly, in Madagascar. Just the word plague calls up images of the Black Death, an epidemic disease outbreak hundreds of years ago. Plague spread quickly in 14th century Europe, killing tens of millions of people. The World Health Organization is working with health officials in Madagascar to contain the current outbreak. Plague reappears in the country most years. However, the WHO's Christian Lindmeier says the number of cases now appears to be higher than in recent years. He says the disease could spread quickly in Antananarivo, the capital, because of its high population and weak healthcare system. Another problem is that the insects spreading the disease are becoming resistant to the chemicals used to kill them. Untreated infections can lead to a kind of plague passed from person to person. That makes the spread much more difficult to contain. Christian Lindmeier says insecticides and antibiotics are being made available in those areas. Plague can be successfully treated with antibiotic drugs if caught early. For VOA Learning English, I'm Alex Villarreal.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. The Internet plays a big part in human life. We use it for work and entertainment. We find advice on how to stay healthy or learn a new language. We connect with family and friends and stay in touch with issues we care about on the Internet. But can using the Internet too much be bad for our health? A new study finds that heavy Internet use may be connected to high blood pressure in an unlikely group: teenagers. The study results show that teens who spend at least 14 hours a week online were more likely to have high blood pressure. The researchers say the study is the first to connect heavy web use and high blood pressure. Other research has connected heavy Internet use with health problems, including anxiety, depression, and obesity. The lead researcher of the study is Andrea Cassidy-Bushrow. For the purpose of the study, she said, teens who were online on average 25 hours a week were considered heavy Internet users. It involved 335 young people who were 14 to 17 years old. 134 of the teens were described as heavy Internet users. Researchers found that 26 of these 134 teens had high blood pressure. Ms. Cassidy-Bushrow adds that it is important for teens to take regular breaks from their computer or smartphones and do some kind of physical activity. In a statement, she said, "Using the Internet is part of our daily life, but it shouldn't consume us." She also suggests that parents limit their children's use of the Internet to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. For VOA Learning English, I'm Jonathan Evans.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. In the United States, hospitals with the best resources to treat injuries are known as trauma centers. One of the largest is at the Los Angeles County University of Southern California Medical Center. Dr. Dimitrios Dimitriadis is the Director of Trauma Services at the hospital. He says when a trauma team is activated, all the members are expected to be ready within 5 minutes. This happens before the patient even arrives. Every member of the team has a job to do. Dr. Dimitriadis says this methodical way of treating patients in the trauma center has greatly reduced preventable deaths. Other trauma care changes have also improved survival rates. One change involves emergency medical technicians and paramedics. These first responders are often with local fire and rescue departments. they can start treatment in the field while communicating with doctors at the hospital. But Dr. Dimitriadis says the thinking now is to avoid any delays in transporting seriously injured patients. The new policy is known as scoop and run. Another change is that the hospital does not always operate on patients with gunshots to the abdomen. Avoiding surgery reduces the risk of infection and other problems. Some lessons in trauma care have come from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dr. Dimitriadis says one lesson is to not give trauma patients large amounts of saline and other intravenous fluids. Patients are given fresh blood products instead. Changes like these have improved the chances of survival in trauma centers by as much as 25%. For VOA Learning English, I'm Mario Ritter.